right, welcome everybody. It's another show of Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV, which is seen on Cox Cable. 89% of the New Orleans market, of course, here in Baton Rouge, almost 400,000 people. In Lafayette, 140,000, and Morgan City, and also parts of Livingston and Ascension Parish. Thank you so much for joining us here today as we're talking sports, and we'll get right to it because with us, he is on the road. He is right there in North Carolina. He is the voice of the LSU Tigers, Chris Blair. Chris, thanks so much for joining us on the program. I know you're busy, my man. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
No problem, Chris. Great to join you. Not too busy at the moment. The news is we get to play a later game. Spent a lot of hours at the ballpark yesterday, but enjoyed every second of it. LSU staying alive, and now we'll play in a regional championship game and the third meeting between the Tigers and Tar Heels tonight.
I tell you what I did. So what I did was a friend of mine invited me to his house. We had about 10 people there, and I said, guys, we're listening on TV. I said, turn the volume down. Let's listen to Chris Blair and the LSU radio network, and we did, and they loved it so much more. They've, in fact, invited me again back tonight. They called me about 2 in the morning, and I didn't answer, but they left a message. Chris, you got to come back. We want to do this again, and we want to do the same thing we did last night because we love your insights. We love all of your stats that y'all do for LSU. I think it's so fun, so I invite everybody to turn down the volume of your TV set. Tonight it'll be on ESPN2 and listen to the LSU Sports Radio Network. Let's get to the pitching. Of course, the pitching – Chris, I don't know if you feel the same way that I do. I think the pitching this year has come along a lot better, quicker than last year, a lot earlier this season. Do you kind of see the same thing?
Well, I think when you look at it in terms of how many question marks you had coming into this year versus last year, and frankly, we didn't know that Paul Skeens, we knew he was going to be good. We didn't know he was going to be that good.
Right.
But kind of lost in all of that. I thought that, really the 1-2 starters were kind of solidified last year. And there were some tweaks here and there, and obviously they got better. This year, I think, because there were a couple of guys you thought were going to be really good early, that it just didn't pan out that way.
Right.
Suddenly, there was some changes. They had to make some adjustments to the rotation on the weekend. Gage Jump kind of emerged as really the ace of the group, but Luke Holman, you can almost interchange the two. And again, it's a really good 1-2 punch. Again, very different, but not all too dissimilar from last year. You feel good when both Luke and Gage are on the mound. He still, like last season, didn't have a true Game 3 starter, and I don't know that truth be told, they have one at the moment. Although I will give that to her credit. While he struggled early in the middle part of the season, he seems to like the postseason, and his last couple of outings have been really good, and they certainly needed him and the job he did last night. In 5 2/3 innings. But I think the bullpen kind of emerged maybe later. We've just seen different guys. There were guys early in the season that were the ones that Jay counted on. And then I think about, midway through the season, in fact, after the 5th weekend of SEC play without a series win, after being swept in Knoxville, that weekend in Knoxville, we saw a couple of the guys get their opportunities out of the bullpen. And while they still rely on Nate Ackenhouse, while they still rely certainly on Griffin Herring, I think you've seen some guys emerge like Aiden Moffitt and unfortunately Christian Little, who injury is going to keep him out of action here in North Carolina. But I just think they added a few more arms. I think they got deeper where a lot of us thought middle part and early part of the season, wow, I don't know if we have enough arms to make this kind of run that you have to have late here. But I think the bullpen is really shored up very well. I give Dave Johnson and Nate Gesky a lot of credit. I look at who's available tonight. I look at who's not available, and I feel pretty good. Based on the arms that I think we'll see tonight to try to win this regional and get to a super in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that would be absolutely unbelievable. So that's the next question I was going to ask you. If you were Jay Johnson, who would you start tonight? Could it be Ackenhausen, who pitched only 27 pitches in that game against Wolford and got 5 runs credited to him, counted against him, rather? So who would you start tonight, you think?
I think Nate Ackenhausen's probably my leader in the clubhouse. Again, I know as of 30 minutes ago the decision had not been reached based on talking to the coaches in the hotel. So there's still some, thought going into how they line this up. But for me, I think Nate Ackenhausen, again, yeah, he got touched up by Wofford yesterday. But I've seen Nate pitch very well. He did it back in the SEC tournament in a starting role. And again, you're not asking him to go 3, 4, 5, 6 innings. You're just asking him to come up maybe a 2-inning good start against North Carolina. And then basically everybody else outside of Christian Little, again, due to the injury. But everybody but Herring, Jump, Holman, and Hurd pretty much is at the ready. And so, again, it's kind of the message they gave Thatcher yesterday, which is, hey, man, get us off to a great start, which he certainly did. But just know you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to put all the pressure on your shoulders. And I think if it's Nate Ackenhausen that starts tonight or whether it's somebody else, I think that's the same message. Is don't worry. We have some guys who we have confidence in.
Could we see a Gage Jump come in maybe out of the bullpen or whatever? Only a 2 days rest, and he pitched 103 pitches on Friday. Could we possibly see him tonight?
I would seriously doubt that. I mean, Jay is very conscientious of the health and is big about not only rest but really healing. And I'd be stunned. I mean, 103 pitches, 2 days rest. I think he's got enough confidence in the guys he has that, again, you throw him on a Monday, then you're going to be turning around trying to throw him in a super regional. I mean, Again, it would be an extended outing, no doubt about it. I just would be surprised if we saw Gage tonight.
Right. Jay Johnson, I think, is a great coach. I think he could be the Nick Saban of baseball. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win as many national titles, but the guy is so smart when he talks. He said at the press conference last week that it was tough for him to go on those coaches shows with you on those nights from TJ Ribbs because he didn't know what he was going to say, what he was going to answer, how he was going to answer it. But he communicates to his team different than a football coach will. A football coach will get in your face and tell you what you're doing wrong and yell at you right there in front of everybody. But it seems like a baseball coach will seem to communicate with you differently. Like Tommy White, moving him, a power hitter like he's doing with 24 home runs, you move him to the starting, he's number one, he's the leadoff batter. I wouldn't have done that, but it seems like it may have worked with Tommy, even though that he only got one base hit yesterday. But he was hitting rocket or line drive shots to the third baseman. He just snagged both of them. So it kind of almost seemed like it worked with Tommy White being in that leadoff role. That kind of shocked me when I saw Tommy White leading it off. I'm like, what?
Well, we saw it earlier this year, and I think the reasoning behind it was make sure he gets pitches to hit. And he did get pitches to hit in both games. And as you said last night, 106, 107, 101 off the bat, and just give Gavin Gallagher, the third baseman, a lot of credit. Eventually, Jared Jones was able to blast one by him on the ground. But Gallagher just made some incredible plays. Literally, probably Tommy goes 3 for 5 without the great defensive play. But Jay, going back to Coach Johnson, what I've always liked about him is he is a realist. Things are not, they don't use smoke and mirrors. The data speaks for itself. So he's a realist, but he's also very positive. And I think that may be the difference from your analogy to a football coach. I just think that they say, look, guys, I'm not here to make excuses and listen to excuses and this is what's happening. This is what it is. Now that we recognize what it is, here's how we're going to go about improving it. And I think that's what makes him so good is he's a pretty even-keeled coach. And you'll see emotion out of him. Obviously, we saw it in Hoover after he was ejected for a bogus call by a horrible umpire.
Right.
That's another story. But for the most part, he's pretty even-keeled. And I think that's because the guys understand what they're hearing from their coach is not coach speak. It's not to overinflate their egos. It's to just say, hey, guys, you're really good at what you do, and here's why you're good at what you do. Let's just go out and do that. And if we do, very similar to Nick Saban, if we follow the process, the results take care of themselves. We don't have to sweat wins and losses. Just go do what you do. And I think that's what makes him successful.
Yeah, no questions. And the same thing with Josh Pearson. You and I talked about it earlier this season. What seems like when people are on base, Josh Pearson comes through, especially when people are runners in scoring positions. So Josh struggled a little bit, pitched hit for him in this tournament, and then also same thing with Travinsky. Travinsky's been struggling, pitched hit for him with Brady Neal came in, and he was a designated hitter earlier this weekend. And so what happens with Travinsky for that game against North Carolina? Finally came out of his slump, hit a big base hit, and hit a moon shot that would have went into the upper deck of Major League Baseball. So both of those guys, Pearson and Travinsky, both came out of their slumps. And Pearson being in that cleanup hitter, like you and I talked about, he is great risk. I mean, when runners are in scoring position, a good part of the time, that guy comes through.
I like calling postseason Pearson. I mean, that's just kind of what he's done his entire career. You know, yesterday, talking with Jay before the second game after the Wofford win, I talked to him about Josh Pearson. I asked him, I said, hey, look, I mean, this guy, forget his numbers, just he's a guy you want in there.
Right.
You need a big play at the plate. And frankly, when you need a play in the field, in left field, he's made some sensational plays in his career, as well as in right field. And Jay said to me, yeah, he's going to be a great fifth-year player for us. And that kind of, again, I don't know if that was a subtle or a major announcement, but, that would be fantastic if LSU were able to have Pearson for one more year. So I don't know if that's solidified yet, but that was said by Jay, on the radio broadcast last night. I don't know how many people caught it. But Pearson is phenomenal. He's one of my favorite guys, low-key guy. His father is a well-known and well-sought-out hitting coach for, baseball players wanting to improve their game in the high school and into the college ranks. So he knows what he's doing. He's got a high baseball IQ, and never worry about Josh Pearson. Aiden Travinsky, got pulled midway through the game against Wofford. They elected to go with Brady Neal, and Neal gave a little spark there.
Right.
Then in the second game against the Heels, they got Neal with Milazzo a little day off or a little game off, and Neal goes behind the plate. Travinsky comes back in, and he responds with 2 hits, including a big important leadoff hit that led to some runs for LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So, Travinsky's seen it all. He's done it all. So, again, another guy I'm not real worried about.
Yeah, I mean, what is it about LSU that we're seeing in tournament play that you're seeing the craziest things? In the SEC tournament, Neal, they said, got in front of home plate when instant replay showed that he did not. And, of course, that was a run that scored. It was called a balk. And then also Brady Neal bunts the ball and hits him in the shoulder. Jay Johnson comes out. Thought he was going to challenge it, but I guess he asked Neal, did it hit you? And maybe he said yes, and he didn't use that challenge up because he only had one challenge left. And then, obviously, Millam trying to slide into second base this tournament, and they called him out because of interference, which instant replay showed that was absolute stupid, bogus call. And instant replay didn't correct it. It was crazy. Crazy calls have been going against LSU in these tournament plays.
Yeah, again, I mean, I appreciate what umpires do. It's not a job. I certainly would not want to have to go out there and do it.
No.
But by the same token, at some point, I just think you got to go to the lasers and cameras and start getting things right.
Yeah.
Especially when things are, as you said, those two examples. It's an obscure rule. Coach Kingston, who by the way was let go by South Carolina earlier today, according to reports.
Oh wow.
He even said after the game, he just said, "Hey, look, we just kind of pulled that one out of the back of the rule book and threw it at the dartboard, hoping it would stick." And as it turned out, he got a couple of umpires that didn't know anything, and
right.
They bought into it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'll say about LSU, and I've learned in 9 years of calling this team, and I've talked to a number of former players, spent some time with both Skip Bertman and Coach Paul Maneri, and Lou Holtz is credited with saying that luck is when opportunity and preparation meet. And that's why I think great things happen, even when there are some obstacles for LSU baseball. And you can go back to last year, you can go back to, the 2009 season, you can go back to Skip titles. I mean, there's always been crazy things that happen just when you count the Tigers out. And I think that's because all three of those coaches and all three of the players, sets of players at that time, it prepared when the opportunity arises. And some people outside of LSU will call it luck. I know that's what I get that from all of my colleagues in the SEC when we get to Hoover. They all believe somebody made a deal with the devil years ago that allows LSU to come up with some incredible performance in the SEC tournament. But again, I go back to, I think nobody works harder than Jay Johnson. He demands that from his staff, so they in turn work harder than anybody else. And he's got players that believe. And again, it goes back to just do what you do. If you do what you do, and don't try to do more, we're going to be just fine because we have a great collection of talent. And that's why I think for other people it looks crazy, but for LSU it's just Tiger baseball.
Unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you this, Chris. Stephen Millam looks like, I mean, this guy is a true freshman. He's playing great at that second base spot, and he's hitting on both sides of the plate. There's no doubt in my mind he could be a very big first rounder in a few years. This guy's reminding me of Alvarez for the Houston Astros at second base. He's 5'8". He doesn't look 5'8". I don't know if LSU put a little bit extra inches on him because he does not look 5'8". But this guy is playing so good. There's no doubt in my mind this guy will be a major leaguer big time in a few years.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, he is, and by the way, I think he wears high cleats to get to 5'8". No, there's no question about it. He indeed is going to be the next great LSU college football player that goes on. He's been preparing for this since he was 7 and 8 years old, and has wanted to be an LSU Tiger not too long after that as a very young man. His hero was Alex Bregman, of course, and
same hometown.
Milam being from Las Cruces has idolized Alex, and there was no question where he was going. And he just makes plays at second base that, again, make it look routine. And there's not many second basemen in the country that can do what he does. His ability to get the ball, his range, his ability to go from glove to throwing hand and delivering an accurate throw is impressive. I'm not so sure how long he stays at second base. I'm not sure if maybe he moves to shortstop. He can as Jay Johnson told me back in his radio show, he goes, I think he can play every position. He's just a baseball kid. So, he's great. And being a switch hitter and showing power now. I mean, Jay Johnson told me before the Missouri series this year, Chris, when I asked where's the ceiling for Stephen Milam, he said, the next thing you'll start to see, he said, he's improving. We want to improve him from the right side. Very good hitter from the left side. We want to continue to improve that. And from both sides of the plate, be able to pepper to all fields. But you're going to start to see some power. He said great hitters always adjust to this, top level of college baseball, just learning to hit. But then the power will come. And lo and behold, he hit his first home run that following weekend against Missouri. And now he is really a power threat at the plate, as we saw in Hoover. And we saw again against Wofford, where he hit 2 leadoff solo shots to win the game on Friday. So, Milam's going to be the next great former LSU Tiger playing in the big leagues.
No question about that. Crazy the way it goes. Like I said, Jay Johnson did perfect, changing the lineups. You get 4 runs on Friday, 4 solo home runs, score all 4 runs. On Saturday, 2 walk-ins, score the only 2 runs for the Tigers in their 4-2 loss against North Carolina. So change the lineup against Wofford for Game 5, which was the rematch of Wofford. Unbelievable. LSU was hitting the cover off the ball, even down 5-0. And then yesterday, hitting the cover off the ball again. They had 21 hits in that Wofford game, which was unbelievable. And you had us on the edge of our seats. I was telling Jonathan this when I walked in. So you had us on the edge of our seats because we turned down the sound and we listened to you and the broadcast crew do the game. And I don't remember, 8-4 game. Chris, you had us on the edge of our seat. I had one of my friends about to put a nitroglycerin pill in him because I said, look, if you go out with a heart attack, I'm not giving you mouth-to-mouth, brother. You're on your own. I don't play that kind of game. But my goodness, you had us on the edge of our seats with an 8-4 game with 2 outs against North Carolina last night. I mean, did it feel as nervous as we were, as you? I mean, because you were calling that game, and it's like, oh, my God, they could win this game.
Yeah, no. They made it way more dramatic than I wanted it to be. Like Tiger fans, both Doug Thompson in the booth and Bill Franquez, they were nervous as well because, again, basically you're taking on watching 2 really good teams. I mean, people forget, you think of the SEC all-powerful, and again, I have no qualms letting anybody know that in a regular season, conference to conference, the SEC is on a different level. It just is. Too much talent, coaches, facilities. It's just a different deal. But you're going to have great teams that come out of every conference. And North Carolina is one of those. They won the ACC, a conference that's really filled with a lot of really good teams here in 2024, including Virginia, including Clemson, which have already punched their tickets to the Super Regional. So you're watching two really good teams go at it, and you get a chance with the bases loaded. A swing of the bat, which, by the way, a home run, a grand slam on Friday got them past Long Island.
Right.
It's also a team in North Carolina that had only lost 2 games at home all season.
Oh, wow.
2 games were back-to-back in the middle of March, Chris.
Wow.
Haven't lost a game at Boshamer Stadium since March 16th to the Miami Hurricanes.
Wow.
And I don't care what league you play in. I mean, in baseball, that's hard to do. So, yeah, it was nerve-wracking for everybody involved.
See, you don't get that on TV. That's what I love about Chris Blair. Guys, y'all have so much information about all the players, not just LSU, but UNC. I love y'all's stats. I know y'all study y'all's stats, and you've got it right in front of you. You're unbelievable in that. And I'm going to ask you one more question before we go. The crowd-wise, how different – I mean, the LSU fans – I don't know how many LSU fans is there on 100%. Is it 40% LSU fans? Because they're loud. They're coming through y'all's mics easy. So how big is the crowd at North Carolina from LSU?
Well, it's interesting because each team was allotted, each visiting team, I should say, the 2, 3, and 4 seed in the regional were allotted 200 tickets a game. Mm-hmm. And so, again, that tells you how difficult it is. It's only a stadium that has about 4,000 seats.
Oh, wow.
They tell us they can standing room only and move them down the lines, and behind the fences they can put close to 5,000. And there may have been that number or close to that number. They told us 3,700, I think, on Saturday night. But I say all that to say the tickets are hard to come by. But when you look out at the crowd last night, again, pretty full stadium, it was probably 70-30, maybe 60-40.
Oh, wow.
The ton of LSU fans here in Tobacco Road, and they've been here since Thursday. So, the Tigers travel well. That's, death taxes and LSU baseball fans traveling. I mean, that you can book it. And it's just been hard for them to get a ticket. And, of course, talking to the North Carolina staff when we went over to the stadium on Thursday, set up for Friday's first game, they all said, hey, look, we're trying our best to not let your guys get these tickets because we know what it will turn into if this place turns into a purple and gold bonanza. So they've tried to have more Carolina blue, but you're right. Even though they're outnumbered, you're not going to out-yell Tiger fans.
No.
And hear them throughout the game.
All right, one more question. I promise I will let you go because this is your rest time. You were busy yesterday. This is kind of a behind-the-scenes thing. Are you guys going to be on Facebook? I've never watched the Facebook broadcast with y'all in the booth. I need to watch that because I want to know how tight you guys are. And what we mean in the business by tight is you guys, with 3 guys in the booth, Franquez, Thompson, and you never step on over each other. Y'all never talk over each other hardly at all. And it just seems like, okay, Franquez has got information about the pitcher or maybe scores and what have you. Thompson will talk about the pitcher who's coming in and all that from both sides, and then you do your play-by-play. You guys never step on each other. That's like I don't know if you've ever heard a NASCAR race on radio. That's how, and they never step on each other. Let's go to Chris down here. Even when y'all do it with football, y'all don't say, let's go down to Gordy Rush on the field usually. Gordy just chimes in and doesn't overlap Doug Moore and what have you. How do you guys do that?
Well, I mean, I'd love to say we're perfect. We're not always perfect, but, we have been doing this since 2017. I mean, Bill Franquez has forgotten more baseball than most of us will ever know. He is just, when it comes to information about the LSU baseball team, he just knows it all. And most of it is between the years. And he's so valuable, and he does all the road games for us on top of doing his sports information duties. So, I mean, he's working 2 jobs. And I'm so thankful. Jay Johnson and I, our inside joke is we can't let Bill retire. Got to keep him, and I got to keep him. And then Doug Thompson joined us in 16 when I started at LSU because we wanted a former player who knows more than Bill and I do as far as what it's like to be down there in those moments. And frankly, with Doug doing the home games, Bill doing the road games, when we went to the postseason in 2017, we just said, hey, let's put us all 3 together. I think they both deserve it. And we've been practicing, so you just kind of get a little rhythm over the years. But, yeah, we are live on Facebook and YouTube Live, by the way. And,
cool.
Much to the chagrin of Doug Thompson. Not a fantastic him up there. But he's gotten used to it. It's been amazing. We've had 55,000 individual viewers so far here.
Wow.
Over the how many games have we played? 3, 4?
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so
because I kind of laughed at Doug last year, and I seen the clips of it on Facebook where I think it was Tommy White, one of the home runs that Tanks hit, and he took his headphones off and jumped up, and you quickly turned his mic down. And I laughed at that because I'm the same situation with a coach or what have you. They don't realize they're on the radio. They think they're on their headset down on the football field or what have you. And sometimes they're chewing this or doing that, and I have to turn their mic down real quick. And I laughed, and Doug Thompson got out of his chair, took his headphones off, and looked like he went and yelled in the hallway. He turned his mic down quick. I was laughing because I know what you feel like when you go through that.
yeah, oh, absolutely. You got to be ready at any given moment. And I told Doug, I said, hey, look, during the commercials, if you want to do that, football and stuff, Sam, do that commercials, and nobody has to watch you eat on camera. We've kind of figured out the choreography of it all, and
That's right.
So, yeah, I invite people to do it. You'll see some crazy stuff sometimes. As Doug gets animated, Bill Franquez will get animated.
Yeah.
Those two guys love LSU baseball, so it's fun working with both.
No question about that. Thank you again, Chris. I know you're spending some time off and what have you. We'll look forward to your broadcast tonight. We'll be listening, and hopefully LSU will be playing in the Super Regionals next weekend here in Baton Rouge.
Oh, that sounds good to me. Thank you, Chris, for having me, and go Tigers.
Chris Blair, the best, man. I'm telling you, that guy's got so much information, keeps us on the edge of our seats at all times. This guy is unbelievable. LSU couldn't have found a better play-by-play guy in the world. I'm telling you that right now. This guy's incredible. All right, let's go to the post-game press conference with the players and coaches after last night's victory over North Carolina. And thanks for our friends at WBRZ. Mr. Cobble and the crew got this feed last night. Let's go to that feed right now and listen to that press conference.
I don't want to let us down, and I use past failures to push me, and they don't sit right with me, and just keep working. So I always want the ball. I'm really grateful I got the ball, and happy to keep us in it, and then just you got Brady was unbelievable behind the plate tonight, and then what Cade, Fidel, and Guidry did was awesome. I think if you go down the line, Fidel is electric. He has amazing stuff. And then Cade, he pitched twice today, which is, that's gutsy, and biggest game of his life. He's got big leaguer written all over him, so that's really impressive. And then, you guys all know what Guidry does. He loves that. So it was pretty awesome. I think it was our best day of baseball, and that's exactly what Coach said yesterday. After we lost, he said tomorrow's going to be our best day of baseball, and I think that was the case.
Yeah, I think we went in the end with the same approach. We just executed a little better. We stayed in our plan the whole game. Everybody who came to bat, looked confident, looked slowed down, and we did a really good job today, and hopefully just carry on tomorrow. I feel like I approach every at-bat really much the same, but just try to slow down and put a good swing on a good pitch. And, I feel like in those moments I just do a good job of staying within myself and not trying to do too much. Just put a good swing on a good pitch, and, that's all you can do. Yeah, we know that we're always in the fight, and I think Coach might have brought that up because we've been playing blackjack a little bit at the hotel, and, I've been down to one chip at the hotel and made my way back, so, that's just the mentality is that we got to stay there and just keep at it.
Yeah, big deal. And you can't win at this level of college baseball in the SEC or against a team like Carolina with all young players. Experience wins, talent and experience wins. Those guys have talent. They're experienced. They held up the trophy. They've been in games like that today and have come through. And when that happens, they should draw a lot of confidence from that. And I have confidence in them, just like I had confidence in giving the ball to Thatcher tonight. That was the plan for the entire tournament is when we got back to this game, with Carolina, had we won yesterday or lost yesterday and fought our way back, he was going to get the ball tonight. And he did a great job. So it's a lot of peace of mind, him in the box, him on the mound, knowing that they've done it before. And they should draw a lot of confidence from that. Yeah, I think they believe in themselves at a high level, playing as well as we have for the past month and a half. They should believe in themselves. But as I said last night, after a tough loss, today was going to be our best day, and those aren't words. It's like we're going to put everything, to the middle and go for it, and these guys did that. And, when you're in this tournament, you have to have great individual performances by guys that have talent, and that's what we got today in both games because we beat two really good programs today.
All right, so that was the press conference from last night. As Chris Blair has said, breaking news this morning, South Carolina has fired their head coach of baseball. Mark Kingston will not return as South Carolina's head coach. He coached 6 full seasons with a 217 and 155 record. Also breaking news from ESPN, this is from a different sport. Dallas Cowboy Hall of Fame offensive lineman Larry Allen has suddenly died. He was with his family in Mexico. Larry Allen, big thing about Larry Allen, he was running back, no, it wasn't Larry Allen. Who was the one that was running for a touchdown and the ball got stripped? Yeah.
Somebody, and big Larry Allen chased him down like the 2-yard line. Kid was like a mountain coming down the field, but ran him down.
Yeah, it was a Buffalo. It was a Super Bowl. That's right.
Freak athlete.
Unbelievable. But so Larry Allen has died suddenly while on vacation with his family in Mexico. All right, when we come back, the WNBA, what is it doing? What kind of message it wants to do? We'll talk about that when we come back. We're talking sports right here with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
Sky. This was this weekend. Unbelievable. Clark has been beat up so many times this year in the WNBA. Just listen to this. Well, I'm going to tell you the stats here in just a moment, but let's go to the video and watch this. Should have been called a flagrant foul one right on the spot. Watch this cheap shot that we have here from this game. There it is. Carter hits Caitlin Clark out of nowhere after they scored, after the Sky scored. What were you thinking? Watch it slow motion again, and you can see her in several angles as you watch her, then watch from behind, bam, knocked her off balance, blind shot. Then watch in the front part, here she comes. Look at her talking to Caitlin Clark, and then bam. That is horrible. But then even worse than that, watch LSU Angel Reese, former LSU, look at her stand and cheer that play. Unbelievable. I was so disappointed in that, it was not even funny. Well, they changed it. Now, what they did, they called that, Chennedy Carter, they called it a dead ball foul. But they changed it after the game to a flagrant one. So my thing is, the WNBA has, what the NBA has is a point system with flagrant ones. If you get a 4 or 5 point, then that player is suspended. If the WNBA, I'll have more respect for you right now if the WNBA suspends Carter right now, because that kind of play is horrible. It's absolutely horrible, and it has no place in that sport. Caitlin Clark has been getting hit big time. So get this. In 11 games, Caitlin Clark has been at the free throw line 48 times. 48 times she's been in 11 games. She has been hitting crazy. Hey, she's still averaging 17 points. I know in yesterday's game she only got 3. But she has been – so, Jonathan, I don't know how you feel on this, but a friend of mine on social media put this perfectly. The women want to be paid equal the same as men. They want to be the same attention as men get. But yet they don't know how to embrace Caitlin Clark and to come all together. Look how many fans were in that stand. If you go back and see that video, look how many fans are in the stands with watching that WNBA game. They didn't have that before Caitlin Clark got there. But instead of Clark and all the WNBA embracing Caitlin Clark, what they're doing is just absolutely incredible, and it's embarrassing to them.
Yeah, sadly, it's a lot of jealousy. The older players, namely Diana Taurasi, who shouted out saying, "Oh, she's going to be different when she gets against these grown women who play basketball for a living." Well, Caitlin Clark is still averaging 1 point more than Diana Taurasi.
Yeah.
But look, we talked about it before. It's not just because she's white. It's because she's white and she's heterosexual. The league is run by a certain demographic, and if you don't fit in that demographic, you have to pay your dues or kiss their butt or whatever you want to say. They don't want to give you credit unless you rip it from them. Caitlin Clark is the best thing to ever happen to the WNBA.
Yeah.
Sadly, WNBA still cannot even promote their own product. Who in Louisiana even knew it was going to be Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark again in WNBA? There had to be some eyes on that game where it was brought from the college championship 2 years ago. But still, there's very little promotion. Half of the women that were drafted in the most watched WNBA draft to date didn't make opening day rosters. Chris. I mean, 13 of 36 women drafted that night were on opening day rosters. They don't promote their product. They don't. There's a problem within not only locker rooms, within the league of huge jealousy. Where if some women get contracts to go overseas, well then they want that money and they don't care if they have to leave their team or whatever. It's not the same as men's sports in the fact that there's not as much money, so everybody's kind of like scraping for their piece of the pie. But the hate Caitlin Clark has gotten, and everybody likes to cry racism all the time, but I mean,
right.
Except for this, this can't be the fact that it's racism, blatant racism that she's faced. And I've seen somebody try to justify it on social media where Caitlin Clark gave Carter an elbow right before the clip starts of her coming out the push. Look, people get elbowed inadvertently all the time in the WNBA, in the NBA. That type of action has no place in the game, and she should be suspended.
Yeah, and the pick plays. I have no problem with her when she got hit with that pick play. That's no problem. That happens in sports. Yeah. That happens in basketball. But and I know what they're going to say, that if she gets suspended, if Carter gets suspended because of this, they're just taking care of her. No, you hit her from the blind side. You did that was a dead ball. You hit her from the blind side. That's a flagrant one. It should have been called a flagrant one right on the spot, and it wasn't. You go back to, Angel Reese. Didn't Angel Reese do this after they got beat by Iowa, LSU in the Sweet 8? Watch this.
Reroll. Turn me down.
All this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are. Keep waking up every day. Keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
All right, first of all, if there are death threats against her, which she said earlier, then that's stupid. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, and you ought to be horsewhipped behind some trailer or something. That's disgusting. Or even with my people in South Louisiana in the bayous, we got an alligator trap waiting for your ass, okay? Bottom line, that's disgusting. For you to threaten a player or a person, period, like that, you shouldn't have done that. But Angel Reese, if you want to get people to criticize you and what have you, then stop playing like you're playing. That's what you want. There's other black players that are not getting that kind of attention. They play the game. They do it the right way. You can't keep acting like a thug and not to be treated like one. Jonathan, am I wrong here? I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, it's not a racism thing. It's a thing the way that's what you're asking. You are the Dennis Rodman, or what was that Pistons center that for years, Lambeer, Bill Lambeer. That's what you are. If you want to act like that, that's what you're going to get. Love you to death, and I've got no problem if that's the way you want to play. But don't sit there and cry when people are treating you that way. Like I said, I love you, an LSU former player. I love you, represent LSU well. We probably wouldn't have won the championship if you wouldn't have come in 2 years. I understand. But you act like that, you're going to get treated like that. Jonathan, am I wrong?
No, you're completely right, Chris. Just like I tell my kids, you can think one way about yourself, but the entire world will judge you based on your decisions, your actions. And look, Angel Reese plays a certain brand of basketball, and she carries herself both in real life and on social media with a certain brand. It was tough for me to watch that crying when it happened live, especially when she got to the part where she'd been sexualized by a lot of the fans and the viewers. Well, this is the same girl who went on Sports Illustrated in a bikini for the clout. Like, you can't have it both ways. And look, I'm just curious because I don't want to keep harping on the race thing, but could you even imagine? I know you've seen the press conference before where somebody sits down of a certain pigment and say, "I'm doing this so little girls and boys who look like me can one day have an inspiration." What if Caitlin Clark got up there and said anything that sounded like that? What they would start telling this girl to her face. And look, all Caitlin Clark has done is win. And you can say what you want about her attitude off the court, but she brings eyes on the court. And that's all the WNBA is looking for right now, sponsorship, money, and that includes, that requires, I should say, eyes on the product, and she is going to certainly do that.
Yeah, no question about that. I think Angel Reese is pretty. I think her Sports Illustrated picture looked great. I think she represents LSU well, bought the LSU men's basketball team all new headphones. I think she's great. When you get on the court, I got no problem with you being, a monster. But understand, if you're going to do that, and what she did when Caitlin Clark got blindsided, and that did it for me.
Yeah.
Cheering like that did it for me. Any little sympathy I had for you is gone because of that. I think that was horrible. All right, 6 teams make the NCAA tournament in baseball. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're talking sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're talking sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV, which is on Cox Cable. And, of course, 6 teams from Louisiana make the NCAA tournament. That was unbelievable. That's the first time since 2000 that's happened. Now, Louisiana's gotten 5 teams in. That's only the second time in history we got 6 teams in. Louisiana Tech went to Arkansas. They lost to Kansas State 19-4 on Friday, and then lost to Southeast Missouri on Saturday, so they went 2 in barbecue. Tulane and Nicholls State goes to Corvallis. Jonathan, as I told you off the air, can we get a phone call to the NCAA to explain to them that Oregon is not next to Texas or above Louisiana? It's Arkansas, not Oregon. They either sending LSU to Corvallis or now they send Tulane and Nicholls State to Corvallis. My brother Scott, who right now is in Las Vegas, he said, why would you have that many Louisiana teams play each other? In fact, there were 2 games that 4 Louisiana teams played this year. I mean, in this tournament. Tulane went to Corvallis. They lost to Oregon State 10-4 in the game 1. Then they beat Nicholls State to knock Nicholls out of the tournament. 3-0 was the final score. And they individually lost to University of California, Irvine by the final score of 17-7. Nicholls State went 2 in barbecue. They lost to UC Irvine 13-12. They can score some runs. But the Colonels lost, winning the Southland Conference in Hammond, Louisiana. Nicholls State goes, and then they lost to Tulane, as we mentioned, by the final score of 3-0. Then 2 more Louisiana schools go to the same tournament, which is the A&M tournament in College Station, Texas, where Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, lost to Texas in game 1, 12-5. They beat Grambling State 12-5 in the next game, knocking them out of the tournament. And then last night they beat Texas 10-2. But eventually in the elimination game, they lost to A&M 9-4. Well, they had to beat A&M twice, and A&M was just too tough for them, 9-4. A&M goes to the Super Regional. Grambling State, as we mentioned, went 2 in barbecue. They won the SWAC tournament. They lost to A&M 8-0, lost to the Raging Cajuns 12-5. And again, I mean, are you kidding me? NCAA officials is just like, my brother couldn't stand that Louisiana teams were playing each other. They knocked them out just like that. All in all, I think we're proud of Louisiana teams that made it. 6 of them made it. That was pretty impressive, Jonathan. I don't know if this still counts because, look, Georgia has passed LSU up in per capita for football players in the National Football League. The state of Georgia, Louisiana led for so many years. Now, there was another stat that happened, I think it was about, last I saw it was 10 years ago. Per capita, Louisiana had more NFL players, more NBA players, and more major league players in any other state. I don't know if that's still the same. So I know you were proud that 6 teams make the NCAA tournament from Louisiana.
Certainly going to help with NIL deals moving forward. And Louisiana has so much talent inside the state. It's going to be really hard to compete to get guys to like move out of states like California and places with a lot of Fortune 500 and a lot of big boosters, conglomerates to give these NIL deals. But the brand of high school baseball is incredible in Louisiana, all the way up to college, and junior college, and that's where it starts. I mean, these kids, a lot of these guys, got to stop at Delgados and the BRCCs of the world because their grades aren't where they should be going to an LSU. So. Yeah, a lot of great baseball in Louisiana, all the way to junior college level, all the way up. And, Chris, 27 outs for the Tigers, Chris. 27 outs, and they're hosting the Super Regional. Unbelievable considering where this team was just a month ago. We were talking about making the tournament, making the SEC tournament. Yeah. And they made a run just like you said they could.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing that happened. That, again, I'm just blown away by that. And hopefully baseball will continue to do well. Put either 5 or 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. We'd love to see that. All right, coming up, we got some things that are on my mind. This is kind of crazy, something to do with the USC. Got some breaking news from a former LSU player, and a couple of other things coming up. The Saints had their OTAs, and what they did was pretty impressive. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment as we continue to talk sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Of course, talking sports with me, Chris Powers. This show airs 5 times a week, seen by almost 2 million households in Louisiana, 89% in the New Orleans metro area on Cox Cable, also almost 400,000 in the Baton Rouge area, 140,000 in Lafayette, also seen in Morgan City. You can download the app, and you can also go to the YouTube page as well. Jonathan always helps out, chimes in, has got some great insight and what have you. You do your own show, you and Buddy Sanji, the legend, the man. Been doing sports since Jesus was a baby. But anyway, when does your show air? And it airs also all throughout the week as well. You guys tape it tomorrow, right?
That's right. Tigers Roar, Spread the Roar. We tape Wednesdays. We tape Tuesdays, Tuesday morning, but it'll air Wednesday around 8 o'clock on Pelican Sports TV. Replays throughout the weekend. Also, check it out on the YouTube page at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Of course, we have all the Talking Sports with Chris Powers archived there as well. So while you're at the page, click the like, notification, and the subscription button if you haven't done so already. It helps us with the algorithm, and we'll notify you. You get a notification every time we post something new right there at Pelican's YouTube at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting.
Cool deal. USC tried for 2 years to get out of the contract with playing LSU in Las Vegas on September the 1st. LSU said, no, it is not happening. Some say that's why Lincoln Riley didn't want the job at LSU. I don't think so. I think Brian Kelly was on the radar the whole time for Scott Woodward. I really do. I think the Lincoln Riley thing was just a crazy rumor, like there always have been with coaching changes. You've heard all of these stories. Oh, he's in Baton Rouge. Oh, he's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the guy's sitting back home with popcorn, drinking a beer and watching a movie with his son. I think that's just the way fans are. Riley, in some ways, I understand, because Riley's got a tough Big Ten schedule now. And not only that, but hey, y'all agree to this. I didn't. Go to the Mountain West or go to the Southland Conference if you don't want this tough schedule, because now USC and UCLA have to fly across the globe to get to Michigan, Ohio State, and all those schools. I think that's absolutely stupid. I think it is dumb. And I think when he sees that, adding LSU and having Notre Dame on the schedule, you got a very big schedule in 2024. I don't see USC making it because of the travel. They're going to have to leave a day earlier. They're going to have to leave on Thursday to get there to Michigan to play also in the Big House, to play Penn State, to play against Ohio State. You're going to have to leave on Thursday, not Friday like you normally would. So I think that's going to be the deal. But now when you have Notre Dame on the schedule, that's a great schedule. That's a great little rivalry that they always played for years. And then, of course, LSU opening up at a neutral site. I don't know. Lincoln Riley might be scared. I have no idea. But that's the thing about it. Lincoln wanted LSU off that schedule. And I know you guys, Jonathan, I know you guys might talk about it. I know it's almost a week old. It happened last Wednesday when it was reported. Were you shocked to hear that Lincoln Riley wanted out of the LSU game?
Shocked, not at all. I mean, like you mentioned, they go to the Big Ten this season, a much harder schedule, playing much better defense in the Pac-12 on top of, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly kind of share an agent. Both of these guys want to get paid as much as they possibly can. So, yeah, it doesn't look great to have two of your clients beat each other in week one, kind of send one of their seasons off the railways really early. And coming off of post-Caleb Williams, who we also had in Oklahoma, it's a total rebuild. So, yeah, not only the harder schedule with the Big Ten, a new quarterback situation, new offensive situation, but then you're facing an LSU team who lost their first game the last 3 seasons, Chris. This is an important game for Coach Brian Kelly and this LSU squad, especially if they have realistic dreams of playing in that postseason playoff.
Right. Because remember, Les Miles only lost one of those big games in Green Bay against Wisconsin. Other than that, they won every one of those big games. Les Miles would win all of those games against Oregon and Chip Kelly. He won all of those big games on neutral sites. Hopefully that we'll get that. I really thought that LSU would have beaten Florida State in both years. I predicted they would. I was wrong on both counts. They lost by a blocked extra point in the Superdome. And then, of course, they lost big time in the opener last year. I still think LSU can beat USC. They've got a new quarterback coming in as well, but I feel our quarterback situation will be better. I feel we have better athletes than they do. I think they will win. The Saints signed all their draft class. How about that? Every one of their draft class, all their rookies have been signed, including Kool-Aid McKinstry, and that will set the tone for second-round picks, a lot of people are saying, around the NFL. If he signs that quick, and usually they want to hold on to a lot of money, but they didn't do it in this situation. Kool-Aid signs just like that. That's good to see. And they also, all of the draft picks were available for OTAs. And, Jonathan, that was huge.
Yeah, it's always good to get guys in the building, learning this new offensive system with Clint Kubiak. Dennis Allen demands a lot from his defense. He's going to be the defensive coordinator again. So great to get all these guys in the building. You got to replace a lot. You have older guys in the roster. These young guys are going to have to come in and play some roles. Offensive line is a huge question mark for the Saints. So getting these young guys in the building early as they possibly can, great for the organization.
And exactly what we talked about here on the air. They're moving Trevor Penning to the right tackle spot. See, I said that. I said, okay, so don't put him in the left tackle spot. Right tackle is not as crazy because you have a right-handed quarterback, and if he gets beat, the defender is going to be right in his face, and so Carr will be able to see that. When you're the blind side, obviously, in the left tackle spot, you can't see somebody coming from behind you. That's the blind spot. So with that being said, Trevor Penning is now being worked on at the right tackle spot. That's, I think, a good move. How about, speaking of good moves, Alan, you need to pay Marty, Jonathan, and me this kind of money. Justin Jefferson, former LSU player, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and was threatening inside, didn't come out mainly and come out and say, I want to trade, but inside word he was wanting a trade. Got a new deal, breaking news early this morning on this Monday, $140 million for 4 years, with $110 million of that $140 guaranteed, which means he could quit tomorrow. He's getting that $110 million. Isn't that crazy? How about Jordan Jefferson? Now, the owners say he deserves it. He's worked his butt off in the years that he's been here. He definitely deserves a big contract. He is their offense. There's no question about that. They wanted to get a quarterback that can, basically throw him the ball. By the way, word is that J.J. McCarthy may be the third string now.
Well, J.J. McCarthy, a guy they drafted on a rookie contract, they're hoping he does work out. $88.743 million, according to Adam Schefter, due at the signing bonus. He's paid now, Chris. That man is paid. He got to change his grill out. Straight platinum and diamonds.
So he held out. They offered him $28 million a year. He said, I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to hold out. Now he's getting $35 million a year, Marty. Your money. I'm waiting on my TV deal. You're waiting on their TV deal. That's right. Yeah, we'll have him doing a show. All right, that's going to do it for us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, you go on YouTube. You can watch it on Pelican Sports TV, which is on Cox Cable. We'll be back again next week, and hopefully we're talking about LSU being in the Super Regional, and maybe at this time now, next week in Omaha. If they're playing today, more than likely LSU would play on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the Super Regional, but you got to get past North Carolina first. It's going to be a tough out, I'll tell you that. We'll catch you back next week right here on Talkin' Sports with me, Chris Powers.